But something about the way he observed those kids made me want to keep an eye on him.
I live in an apartment complex with a shared laundry room in the basement. Access is through a door in the stairwell, leading to a hallway with storage compartments on one side and the laundry room on the other. That was where I first saw the woman about 3 years ago, shortly after moving in. I had gone to do my laundry, and as I stepped into the hallway, waiting for the light to turn on, I saw a dark figure with long hair slip quickly into one of the doorways. A chill ran down my spine, but I convinced myself it was just my imagination, a trick of the dimly lit space. From then on, I would see her occasionally. We never interacted. I would catch glimpses of her disappearing down the hallways or already inside the laundry room, where she would quickly duck behind a wall when I entered, then leave silently while I was leaning over the washing machine, sometimes even leaving her things behind. Over time, I came to expect these encounters and ignored them, believing it was the most empathetic response. I assumed she had some kind of social anxiety. Once I saw her crouching behind a washing machine waiting for me to leave. That made me think, in a strange way, that she was becoming more comfortable with me. That had been the creepiest encounter, until the night I found a key in the garage. Wanting to do the right thing, I decided to leave a note at the building entrance so the owner could reclaim it. I put up a notice in my building and then headed to the other building, which shares the garage, to post another note. To get there, I had to pass through the shared basement. As I entered the hallway, I saw her at the far end. As always, she moved quickly, disappearing behind a door. I felt uneasy but continued forward. I stepped into the stairwell of the other building, and as the light slowly flickered on, I saw no sign of her. I assumed she had gone back to her apartment. I left the door open, thinking I would return in a moment. I climbed one flight of stairs, but as I turned to glance back, my heart nearly stopped. She was there, standing in the hallway I had just come from, in complete darkness. She had moved without making a sound. She stood behind the door, slightly ajar, watching me. Her face, partially visible, was blank, covered by large dark sunglasses. This time, she didn't flee. She didn't move. She just stared. It was the closest I had ever been to her. For a few seconds, we had been just steps apart without me realizing it. My body went cold, and without thinking, I bolted up the stairs, running out of the building into the rain, wearing only slippers. Since that night, my perception of her has shifted. I used to think she wanted to go unnoticed, but now I'm not so sure. If that were the case, she wouldn't appear so often. She would have time to hide before someone saw her. She could simply stay locked inside her apartment, avoiding encounters. But she doesn't. She makes sure to be seen, just for a moment, before vanishing again. I'd like to say she unnerves me simply because of her strange behavior, but it's more than that. It's something deeper. The way she watches me, the way she moves, as if she knows something she shouldn't. There's a growing feeling that she sees me in a way others don't. Because sometimes, certain people can perceive what I truly am.
So, this happened a few months ago when I started working for a small local delivery service in a tiny town. Nothing fancy, just delivering packages, sometimes food, mostly for local businesses. It was an easy gig, and I liked driving around, so I didn't think much of it. One evening, I got assigned a delivery to an address I didn't recognize, a bit outside of town. That wasn't unusual. People living in the countryside still needed deliveries, right? The package itself was just a medium-sized cardboard box, taped up like normal. I loaded it up and started driving. About 10 minutes into the drive, I started noticing a weird smell in the car. At first, I thought it was something from outside, maybe a dead animal or something. But after rolling up the windows, I realized it was coming from the box. It was faint, but definitely off. A mix of something rotten and chemical, if that makes sense. By the time I reached the address, I was already feeling uneasy. The house was old, kind of isolated, and had a weird vibe. No lights on, no decorations, just a single porch light flickering. As I got out of the car, an old man opened the door before I even knocked. He was smiling, but something about him felt wrong. His eyes didn't match his expression, like he was pretending to be friendly, but not doing a good job at it. I handed him the package, but instead of just taking it and closing the door like most people do, he kept talking to me, asking if I wanted to come in for some water since I had a long drive. I didn't, saying he had something interesting to show me inside. He kept stepping aside like he expected me to walk in. At this point, my stomach was in knots. Every instinct was screaming at me to leave. I was trying to think of an excuse when suddenly my phone beeped. It was just a notification, but in my panic, I blurted out, "Oh, that's my tracker. Work keeps track of my routes in real time." The change in his face was instant. His smile dropped, and he got really stiff. He handed me a couple of crumpled bills as a tip and said, "Drive safe." Then, without another word, he took the package and shut the door. I didn't waste a second. I practically ran back to my car and got out of there as fast as I could. I told a few friends about it, but they just joked that I was overthinking it. I almost believed them until, about 2 weeks later, I saw something on the local news. The police had raided that property after an anonymous tip about human trafficking. Apparently they found evidence. They didn't say what exactly, but they mentioned something about hidden rooms. I have no idea what was in that package, and I don't want to know. But I can't shake the feeling that if my phone hadn't beeped at the right time, I might not have made it out of that house. Stay safe out there.
I live near a park and always take my dog for a walk there in the late afternoon. It's a busy place with jogging trails, a playground full of kids, and benches where elderly people sit to read or just watch the world go by. It's always been a peaceful place, but a few weeks ago, I noticed something that unsettled me. There was an old man. He never did anything outright suspicious. He just sat on the same bench every day, watching the kids play. At first, I thought he might be a grandfather waiting for his grandchild, but I never once saw a child approach him. He just watched. It started to bother me. My dog, a big, friendly mutt, loves kids. Every time we pass the playground, he tries to pull on the leash to get closer to them. I usually let him, because I know he wouldn't hurt anyone. But then I noticed something strange. The old man moved around too. Not like a normal park goer, but as if he were trying to get the best vantage point to watch the children. Was I being paranoid? Maybe. But something about the way he observed those kids made me want to keep an eye on him. So, I changed my routine. I started going to the park at different times, just to see if he was still there. And he always was. Then, yesterday, something happened that confirmed my worst fears. I was sitting on a bench, pretending to look at my phone while keeping an eye on him. He was closer than usual, and I noticed he was holding something in his hand. I squinted, trying to get a better look. It was candy. A bright, colorful piece of candy exactly, the kind a kid would take without thinking twice. My heart started racing as I watched him get up. He began walking toward a little boy who was playing alone, slightly away from the rest of the group. I didn't even think I stood up, pulling my dog along, and approached him. "Hey man," I called out, trying to sound casual. He stopped. Slowly, he turned to face me, as if he had been expecting this. His face was deeply wrinkled, his small eyes tired. Then, he smiled. "You've been watching closely, haven't you?" he said, in a raspy voice. A chill ran down my spine. "What are you doing here every day?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He glanced at the candy in his hand, then back at me. And then, He leaned in slightly and murmured something that made my blood run cold. "This park isn't big enough for the both of us. You know hunters can't share territory." I froze. My brain struggled to process what he had just said. He gave me one last smile and slipped the candy back into his pocket. Then he turned and walked away, as if nothing had happened. I stood there, motionless, feeling the weight of his words sink into my chest. After all, who had really been watching whom?